afternoon, everybody. Franz Klein here at Kleinshire. Today I got the tractor fired up. It worked. I'm down here. Even after 3 months, the tractor starts right up. Well, what am I up to today? Spreading manure. It's time to start cleaning out the goat barn. It's actually not ideal. Most farmers are not running their spreaders out in the field right now because their fields would be a muddy mess if they tried to track in. I have portions of my field with a great deal of root structure though, and I think that my soil is drained well enough that I can begin spreading manure today. This is bedding from the goats. It has a lot, which is good for the soil. The goats tend to quote-unquote waste a lot of hay, but since it goes right into the produce field, for us it's actually not wasted at all. That's carbon for the soil. It's not just the nutrients of the manure, it's the decaying organic matter. Getting that on the soil is really good. What's my hurry though? Why am I out there even while all the tractors around me are silent? Well, a big part of it is this is produce, and the things that are going to grow in this field are therefore for human consumption, and there are strict rules about when you can apply what is called live manure to the field. There's something called the 90-120 rule. Basically what that means is that if you have a crop that where the fruit of it, the harvested portion, touches the soil, harvest can't begin until 120 days after the last spreading of live manure. And similarly for the 90-day window, that would be for crops where the thing that you're eating never touches the soil but is above the soil. Well, I've actually been at work spreading manure already this winter. I last spread manure in January, and I was sure in that period to go ahead and cover all the acreage where I'm going to plant zucchini and yellow straight neck summer squash, because obviously those fruits touch the soil, and therefore, if I were to harvest it today, what do we have? To March 21st to April to May to June to July, 4 times 3, 120. I wouldn't be able to harvest anything out of there until toward the end of July. But I did it in January, so I can harvest whenever my fruits are ripe. The stuff I'm going to spread today is going to go over acreage where I'm planning to plant kale. Kale doesn't, the leaves that you harvest don't touch the ground, and that means as soon as mid to late June, I can start harvesting my kale. So I need to hustle though, because I'm thinking that end of June, I'm going to have kale, which will be ready to harvest. Last, I will spread manure on the soil, which will be host to Brussels sprouts. And I'm in no hurry for that because the Brussels aren't going to be harvested until October, even November. A lot more time to work with there. But for the kale, I want to get this done. So here I am, even though it's still muddy out, working as hard as I can. The other thing I'm up against, of course, is rain. Beautiful, sunny today, but it looks like we may have some significant rain the next couple days. So I want to get a couple loads done today, and maybe later in the week, if the soil drains enough, a couple more loads. But I really need to have this done within the next few weeks, so I'd better get started. I'm going to start with a little Nigerian pen here. The reason is they have a bedding pack which is extremely deep. Look at that, all the way up past the door. It's a wonder actually they don't jump out. I've got this closed off. Part of the reason that their bedding pack builds up so much is we're still feeding them indoors, whereas for the big meat herd, they've gotten so big that I built them outdoor hay feeders. Well, there's a load. First load, just about ready to go. I'm gonna turn on the tractor and clean up just a little bit. Made some progress. I can see the floor of the Nigerian dwarf goat pen. It's amazing. It's amazing. All of this from that one little pen. What's your job?
To make sure the goats don't get through here.
So I can clean this out?
Yeah.
You doing a good job?
Yeah.
All right, do a good job then.
Okay,
Don't let them
good
pass.
job.
They might make a break for it. Oh no! Oh no!
I got her caught.
Oh, don't hurt her leg though. Don't hurt her leg.
Why are you in the way?
I said don't hurt her leg.
I know.
Holy schmoly. Ah,
They're
gonna knock
slipping
my
through
foot.
here.
They can go through there. All right. Hey, are you watching them now?
Yeah.
All right. Let me just clean this out, okay?
Hey, Buttercup. No. Yeah, they will. There's a girl in there.
What's
yeah,
that?
it's okay. A girl in there. Shots.
That's okay. They can be in there. I've got the door closed. Can I get you? Careful. Watch out. Oh, it's amazing how much hay they waste. That'll be it for today. With the rain coming, I don't think that I'll be doing this again until later in the week, but I feel good about having this second load all loaded up and ready to take out. I need to turn on the tractor here, let it warm up a few minutes. You know, while the tractor's warming up, I thought I'd just reflect for a minute on why I'm so excited to be spreading manure. I know it sounds weird to be excited about spreading manure, but let me tell you a story. We started farming, what is it? This will be our 5th season. Hard to believe it's been that many seasons already. But we showed up here on my in-laws' land, took over the farm. They built a new house. from the proceeds of selling it to us, and we have a nice mortgage that we're still trying to pay off. But we decided to farm produce, and we had no equipment and started with nothing but the idea and the dream of trying to make a living off the land. Well, it became evident to me fairly quickly that our old hay field needed help. It was not going to grow much without some reinvigoration, so to speak. So what to do? No equipment. We have a small goat herd. Let me tell you, when you're dealing with a 4 acres, 5 acres like we are, you don't take a wheelbarrow and transport that manure out there, that compost. So our first and second season, we actually relied on, well, pelletized chicken manure from somewhere else, and that just struck me as antithetical to what we're trying to do. We're trying to be sustainable. The idea is that the nutrition comes from the land and goes back to the land, and we create a cycle that doesn't require inputs and yet builds the soil. So one of my first purchases was this old manure spreader, and it was so exciting 3 years ago now to spread my first load of our own manure on the field and help to rebuild the soil. So here I am, 3 years later, still spreading manure. The soil looks different. It really does look different. We're not perfect. We're incorporating cover crops. The area that I'm covering right now was covered in rye and grazed by the steers, but that's not enough. We still have to add some inputs from our own field. And the fact of the matter is that growing produce requires a great deal of input, and therefore we'll always be spreading manure like this. It's a beautiful cycle though, every spring to be spreading this manure, nutrients that come from the land and that are returned to the land and allow us to make an income. As much work as it is, I joke with people, some people pay money for a membership in order to build muscle, and I mean, I don't have to pay anybody and I've got my workout in for the day. It's a good trade-off as far as I'm concerned. It's fun. It's fun in its own way. It's rewarding. Working with your hands, making these things happen, helping to rebuild the land.